All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you had a nice 4th of July. I was kind of surprised with today's action. Thought it would be a slow day, being a Friday after holiday. But anyway, the market was strong. And one of the things I've learned from all these years is, don't question it. The market is never wrong. And do I think things are overbought? Yeah. Do I think tech is the A sector or the AI industry of the technology sector is overbought? Yeah. Do I think it's a bubble? Yeah. But I also know, because I've been doing this for a long time, that things that are bubbles can go on and on for a long time. So I know it's fun to try to talk to your trading friends and be like, oh, we're at a top, we're not at a top, the market's going here, the market's going there, blah, blah, blah. But if you're a trader, having an opinion could be a dangerous thing. All right. Because it could alter the way you're thinking. You think the market's going to go up, you think the market's going to go down. That makes you susceptible to various psychological things like confirmation bias, bandwagon bias. You got to remember, every day is a new day. The market is wrong. You got to be a reactionary. You can't go into the market every day and be like, oh, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. You have to go to the market every day and ask the market, hey, market, what should I do today? All right. The market talks. So let's go through some of these sectors. I'm going to save tech for last because I'm going to, because I want you to check out some of these other things first, right? There's a couple of the big sectors that are always in the driver's seat. It could be tech, it could be communication services. Some of the smaller sectors like utilities or basic materials, they don't really affect the broader market. But the first thing I want to do is let's just check out what's going on over here in the financial sector. All right, so not surprising here, a little technical analysis lesson, right? Where did the financial sector, and this is the ETF, XLF, that tracks the financial sector, where did it just happen to hit resistance? Oh, at the level that had been resistance before. Markets run into resistance at former peaks a lot of times. It's just true. It's just how it is. And there's a reason for it. There's people who bought at the peak who regret their decision to buy when the stock goes lower right after, or in this case, the ETF. And they say, if it ever gets back to my price and I get out of break even, I'm going to. So remorseful buyers placing sell orders at the level that was resistance can make it become resistance again. So that's what's going on there. So I would say financials look, I don't know, I would say kind of neutral. Healthcare sector, I would say this looks kind of weak. And you see the same phenomena here, right? Running into resistance at a level that was resistance before. The best traders, they don't guess. They react. They let the market tell them what to do. How does the market talk? Well, by the way it acts when it gets to these important price levels. You can even see back here. I mean, look at this. Ran into resistance at a former resistance level. And then you have the opposite. Found support at a former support level. This is because of seller's remorse. People sell, and when the price goes up, they're like, I made a mistake. If it ever gets back to my price, I'm going to buy my shares back. Some price levels are more important than others. That's just how it is. And if you can't deal with that and you can't understand that, you might as well go do something else, because you're never going to be a successful trader. All right, here's our industrial sector. Looks kind of weakish here, right? Same thing, resistance at a former resistance level, support at a former support level. But now it looks like it's kind of going lower, or it could be taking out this support. Communication services. All right, so this is really overbought. So this is where we start looking for reversal action. The biggest part of this sector is Amazon and Tesla. So I would imagine a big part of this is the move in Tesla. So let's just take a look at Tesla. I think Tesla is about 20%. Oh, wow, look at that. Man. All right, get your reversal hat out. Yeah, I mean, this is, again, all right, not to kick a dead horse to death, but what happened here? Resistance at a former resistance level. We're getting close to resistance. Resistance is this large group of sellers, right? And sometimes when we get to the resistance, some of the sellers start to sense like, oh, there's other sellers coming into the market. That's why we're not moving any higher. And they start to get anxious because they know that the buyers will go to whoever is willing to actually, did I say that wrong? Yeah, no, the buyers will go to whoever is willing to sell at the lowest price. So when we get up to resistance, sometimes the sellers start to think, gee, someone is willing to sell at a lower price than I am. That's who the buyers are going to go to. So I'm going to reduce the price I'm willing to sell at. Other people see that and they do the same thing, and you get this snowball effect. Notice it here. You get to resistance, you sell off. Really good chance that happens here. So I would have Tesla on my what I call my TRADAR screen for a potential reversal. All right, let's look at communication services sector. Yeah, same kind of deal here. Pretty overbought. And then finally, we're just going to look at tech. And within tech, you know, this is what I keep telling people about the market. I think the market's in a bubble. I think it's going to burst. But I know better than to try to pick the top. Will it happen tomorrow? Well, no, because tomorrow is a Saturday. I remember one time I saw this big GAN theory debate. You know, some guys like the market's going to peak on this date, and everyone's talking about these stupid, weird patterns, which frankly is an embarrassment to technical analysis. Real traders don't do stupid things like GAN theory and tech and Elliott wave. But anyway, there's this big debate, and I was finally like, "Hey, man, there's no way the market could peak that day." And everyone's like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a Saturday." I guess they missed that. But look at this. So Microsoft, this is pretty much the key to the market right now. All right, the key to the market is tech, as we've seen. Tesla, tech, and Microsoft is still the biggest stock in the market. It's really overbought. If this starts to turn, then the market's going to reverse. But if you're long, as long as Microsoft is holding up, you just go along for the ride. See what Apple is doing, or what Apple did. Wow, look at that. Same kind of thing. Let's see what NVIDIA did. The wind is coming out of the sales of NVIDIA. Yeah, you know, it's kind of gone sideways for a while. Hasn't really done much. I mean, it had a decent move yesterday, but what I kind of think is going on right now is that most of the market is going down, and people are going into this flight to safety. Like, oh, Apple, Microsoft keep going up. These 20 stocks I own have been going down. I'm going to sell those stocks. I'm going to put my money into Apple and Microsoft. And that's fine, but it tends to be a thing that happens towards a market peak when you get this really thin leadership. Like if we look at the S&P 500, which is market capitalization weighted, look at that chart. If we look at the S&P 500 where every stock has the same weighting, look at this chart. Most stocks in the S&P 500 are going down. Again, every stock in the S&P 500 here is the same weighting. Here, you got 4 stocks that are basically 20% of a 500 stock index. And this is going up. So it's a sign of the diversion, and it's a sign of the market thinness. And yeah, it's just something to keep an eye on. Like I said, as long as Microsoft and Apple hold up and you're in the broader markets, or you're in the broader ETFs, you know, just go along for the ride, but be careful because when the turn comes, and it will, it could happen pretty quickly. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'll check back in with me.